Welcome to Overwatch. Welcome to like something very quick. I'm probably just going to try and throw this onto YouTube as after this stream is done, just to stop people asking me or just to be able to point, hey, what do you think about the Sigma stuff? First things first, I think about the Sigma stuff. I think this is going to come very quickly and very fast. When they've done announcements like this in the past, especially like Orisa is the one that really sticks in my mind because this release feels very similar to how Orisa went. Hey, thank you for the dono as well. Very much appreciated.
This is for the Sigma joke on Sty's tweet.
It was a thing of beauty. It was incredible. I saw the opportunity and went for it. Bill of Assault, thank you as well. Very quickly, right. So yeah, I think this is going to come quicker than people expect. I think this is actually going to come very, very, very quickly because like Orisa kind of went through the same thing where it was like 3 days and Orisa was released on PTR with like announcement, teaser, release. It was very fast. They basically, it feels like after the Sombra ARG, they feel really burned by it, and they're like paranoid about doing anything similar, which is a shame because there's some like good ARG potential in this video. As I'm sure people are pulling apart as we speak. The first thing I want to draw your attention to is that Jeff makes a nice noise.
What's up, everyone?
Perfect. Right at the start, clearly deep significance to that. I mean, we got to ask all the questions here, ladies and gents. We got to go through everything. We got to milk this for all it's worth. So, you know, does the Lucio shirt have meaning? Is Lucio somehow involved in a deep conspiracy? Perhaps, maybe, we don't know. Jeff looks slightly more tanned than usual. He's not quite his normal pale nerd self. So maybe Sigma comes from somewhere exotic or has been on holiday recently. We don't know. Is there anything in the reflection of Jeff's eyes that we can see? Can I zoom in on this? No, I can't. Alas.
Everyone,
we've got to pour over. Is there any changes in the background? Is the blue on Symmetra slightly different? Who knows? We don't. Is the fact that the YouTube video clearly Blizzard have cut the feed. I found too much.
this is Jeff from the
I think it's going to be
Overwatch
very
team.
quick.
I am so excited about today's
for Sigma
developer.
to sort of come out. I mean, this to me is like the most interesting thing, right? Where you've got like the gravitation thing to pull stuff through, or like dimensional stuff. This graphic and visual of like the yellow ring is honestly to me like, okay, well, we've got his abilities designed and how they look, and let's pair this up with how the visuals of his ability look. So something like that. One of the ideas I saw someone pose, and I think it's a really cool thing. A really cool idea is the idea that he uses like gravity to like pull damage into him as a tank. So instead of having like defense matrix or barriers, he just sort of pulls damage into him. And so you know that he's going to like be absorbing shots that way. That sounds like a really cool mechanic. So at least when you're shooting, you're not just shooting to the void like you are with D.Va. You're shooting a target, but the tank can block damage by using gravity in some cool way. A lot of people suspecting that he uses slows as well, myself included, because they did that recent change to slows. Sort of suggests that they might be pushing more slows into the game. They've been very, very hesitant to do slows in the past, and the reason why is because slows just aren't fun. It's very unfun to be slowed by stuff in most people's gameplay experience, but tanks, I think you can kind of allow a tank a little bit of slowing power, maybe, but then you might have like the Brigitte feeling, like this is what I'm scared of with slows, or like the Mei or Brigitte feeling, when you are getting hit by a Brig and she's just on you and you can't do anything about it. Like you're just stuck getting hit by her. Mei's kind of the same experience, right? When she gets that slow on you and she can just stay on you, you kind of feel completely helpless. With a tank, it feels less egregious because it's kind of a tank's job to be able to lock somebody down and to sort of occupy their attention. But we'll see with that one. These equations people have figured out very quickly to be about like escape velocity. So you have, I will say my field is biology and not physics, especially not theoretical physics. I did do modules on astrophysics and quantum mechanics in my... Americans would call it college, I think. We called it IB, 17 to 18-year-old stuff, sort of post-mandatory schooling. So, like, this stuff was probably about... this stuff was definitely on par with the stuff that I could have done. I think this is like meant to be like a gravitational constant of some sort. Velocity, I think this is mass, which is fine. Then like you got the more advanced looking stuff that's like a lot scarier in terms of the mathematics. A lot of these equations are just sort of rearranged a little bit. I think this is also escape velocity, like VE, that signifies escape velocity. This sort of stuff, like, I recognize this pretty much immediately as part of, like, wave particle dynamics and sort of the interactions between two waves and what results. These are called Feynman diagrams. I know nothing beyond that, beyond it is about subatomic particles and sort of how they interact and for figuring out that. And also, this doesn't look right, which signifies that it is sort of a thingy-mabob, just like a fantasy sort of thing. People much smarter than me have sort of figured this out as being kind of strange. Electron, yeah, well, generally when you see like a small e like that, it generally signifies an electron of some sort. Like, that's generally how you mark an electron out. And then this is just differential equations, all this kind of stuff, but it's just made up maths, I think. Like, a lot of this is just going to be indecipherable. He is a smart, like, this to me signifies
Welcome to
a simple
Small
conclusion. Hey, Comrade Hanso.
Just popped in and I'm getting a physics lesson. I specifically didn't choose physics back at A level so that I could avoid this stuff. Apparently there's no escape. What's going on?
Here's a conclusion you really want to take out of this that I think is the important thing to keep in mind, is that Sigma is a smart boy. That's probably going to be the extent of how useful this information is. Sigma be smart, and he be about physics, perhaps about gravity, maybe a little bit of time manipulation, but that's honestly, in gameplay terms, probably going to manifest in some sort of slow. People have been like theorizing that his ultimate is going to be like Lucio's original ultimate that slows down time for everyone. I would be very, very worried if that's the case. I'd like to see how it's implemented, because again, slows, and especially like an AoE slowdown time effect, will be very frustrating to deal with for a lot of people. It will be very unfun, basically. Just for the people trapped in it, it's just not an exciting thing to be slowed down and then just shot to death. It's not fun for the people involved. So I'm curious to see how they actually get that working. I hope there's a bunch of Mega Man X references. Yeah, that would be pretty cool if they get some Sigma references in there. But yeah, that's like literally it, right? That's literally all they've given you. But I imagine, tomorrow there'll probably be even more stuff, the day after, even more stuff, and then they'll shove it on PTR. Very similar to a Reese's release. That's my suspicion. So by the time you watch this on YouTube, it might even already be out with more teasers. I'll tell you one thing that did get my attention, which was that if there wasn't a leak from, I think it was like Mexico's World Cup team, this shit will be a lot less interesting, I think. This will be a lot less interesting if that leak didn't happen. If we didn't have a name and like a picture, suddenly then this information becomes like, you can contextualize it a bit more, and it's a bit more interesting and a bit more exciting. Oh, there's a thing that I want to know about. Oh, now I can like bolt this bit of knowledge onto that thing, rather than just, oh, here's some maths. Because if we take away the fact that we know that the character is called Sigma, and we know that he looks like a bit hawkish, a bit like a scientist, sort of stereotypical scientist-y look, not really pushing the boat out too much there, but Overwatch doesn't really do that with its stereotypes. Thank you, Zoo Charlie.
Happy 50-year anniversary of man landing on the moon.
Hey, true enough.
What's up, everyone? This
Good
is
for
Jeff
this.
from the Overwatch team. I am so excited about today's developer.
Like, if we had nothing, and this was all you had to base off, instead of having a name and a picture, you just have some maths. You just have some quick maths. And that's literally all you get. It's very boring, I think. So the leak actually, I think, saves this hero reveal and info a little bit. It's just a lot nicer, to have at least something, some juice to get into. But yeah, I'd keep your eyes open for the next few days. Mass Male Nemesis, yep. It's like, true story, a lot of the reason why a lot of people get into biology is because they don't like mathematics. I was really into chemistry for a while, and then chemistry started getting very mathematic-y. Biology has a lot less maths. The biggest thing I needed to know was logarithms, and once you understand logarithms, they're not that complicated. They're really not that complicated. Literally, all we use logarithms for is you turn a graph that looks like this into a graph that looks like this. That's what we use logarithms for. It's not complex. Yeah, that's going to be it. I imagine what this interaction with Moira is going to be like. Knowing most scientists geeking out about shit. Although they're in two very different fields. Like, Moira's a geneticist. From what we've seen, this guy is an astrophysicist. Very disparate fields as far as science goes. Very, very different fields. But yeah, avoiding maths is why I partly ended up in political science. I would take maths any day over politics. Any single day. Winston plus Sigma science talk of fun. Well, that's the interesting thing to me. Like forget him and Moira, get him and Hammond in a room, because they both are going to be interested in orbits and like motions of physical objects through space. It just feels like this guy might be a little bit more interested in subatomic particles, quantum physics, which is, as far as fields go, quantum physics is freaking hard. The brief taster I've had of it is just like, go away. I didn't like it. It was just too much of a... There's some very big, inelegant looking equations in quantum physics that make things very difficult. I personally... I would like it if this was true, and I suspect that it isn't, which is that Einstein had a theory that when you boil down universal laws, they tend to end up coming out like, you know, like this. When you get to the heart of the matter, they tend to be like these very small, neat little things for figuring out physics. And some of the quantum physics equations we had were just huge beasts that you had to like plug all the numbers in and then rearrange to figure out how it worked. And I didn't like it. I can't believe they killed Jeff. I can't believe Sigma killed Jeff as well. I mean, that's one hell of a way to establish that he's a bad guy, that he killed Jeff Kaplan.
Excited about today's developer.
Yeah, it's just... or at least they made his head really tiny. Perfect. I love it. But that's all I've got to say on Sigma until we get more info. Like, it's a cool teaser. It's some maths. There might be some significance in the music. I don't know the notes off by heart. It sounded like single notes. It wasn't even like chords. So, yeah. We'll see. Maybe it's a slow bubble. I hope not. Please no. Anyway, right. I'm going to hide my monitor. Boom. All that shit's going on YouTube. Now let's get started with what we're actually here